Hello, this is, we are in July, but this is a feedback session for June because I couldn't make it last week. We had this landscape challenge and it took all of my available time. So I postponed this session and now we have it in July, June feedback. And let's go. I will share my screen. And I have first painting of hydrangea from last year. Okay. A beautiful painting, a beautifully detailed painting. And what first I see that can be slightly changed is to add more transparent layers to this side, because the hydrangea is round, like not looking at each flower mini head separately, but as a whole big flower head. It's round and it has its lighter part, which is here on the left side, and then it's the shadow part is on the right lower, because I think light is coming from left upper corner, and this area is more darker to create this illusion that the hydrangea is round. So I would suggest few more layers. For example, especially darker ones here and here, they are more darker. This petal, this here, these ones, definitely these ones can go darker. This will create the illusion that they are not these separate flower heads are laid flat, but that they form a round shape. So this all part needs to go more in shadow, but don't lose light, because some petals are sticking out of this all flower head, and there is light, of course, like here is light, here is light, here is light, but in general these flowers inside are darker. What else got my attention are these dark spots here. They are a little bit too dark, so when you add darkness in between, be careful, don't go too dark too fast, because they are really jumping out, especially maybe not even these ones, but these ones here are really jumping out, because here they are not so dark. They are here the same darkness as here and here, but if you would make it a little bit softer and lighter, then it would also help with this 3D dimension to create a rounder. But what I can say that you did a really beautiful work of details. I can see that each flower petal was painted separately, and I think you put a lot of time and attention, which is amazing. Leaf is done really good. What can be added, and you can still do, like with these flowers, watercolors is amazing with that you can paint more. There's no, like, almost no stopping. You can add if you are doing it transparently. So this leaf is slightly darker. If you squint your eyes, you will notice that this part of the leaf, it slightly is bended, and the one that is on the left is darker compared to the one that is on the right. There are shadows and lights on both, but in general, like this upper part can go darker. You see that you have it. Let's zoom in closer. So this part can go darker. This half can go darker, and you can add more here. I would not touch this part, only here and there add a little bit more darker layers to leave, but very beautifully detailed botanical painting of hydrangea. Next one I have from the challenge. I have received quite a lot of your landscape paintings. I will not go into detailing because this was a challenge, and it's like it's not so easy to give feedback to landscape when there's a whole painting, but I can like give tips and show maybe major issues that can be solved. For example, with this one, I can see that washi tape slightly ripped part of the paper. Solution for that: next time when you, first of all, you apply washi tape on, let me stop share and I will, so you apply on the side, and when you take it off, not straight, not, but away from your painting. Like when you are pulling it off, you do it away from painting. Even if it slightly rips some part of the paper, then it will rip on the side. Not straight when you are taking off the washi tape. Not towards the painting, but away from painting. And also important to completely wait for the painting to be dry. If the paper is even slightly moist, then it can be damaged when the washi tape is being taken off. Another thing with this landscape painting is all about perspective. What is closer is more detailed, more intense, more darker, and what is getting away, how we can make this illusion that something is far away, is by making paler, not so detailed, of course, smaller. And here, the thing, the part of the lavender fields that are closer to us can go more vibrant, more intense with like shadows, and then it becomes like paler, and shadow is becoming lighter. That's how we make the illusion that it's away from us. That is the thing. And yeah, beautiful. I like the tree. I like uh, the lavender feel, how you can see that they have this curve. Just a little bit can be added here in the front with more, if you have red violet or permanent rose with ultramarine blue, like give more color and more intensity to the foreground. Then next one is rose leaf, and from different reference, which is very good that you are trying references on your own, and that is making you think more, because when you are picking a reference on your own and doing a painting, that is a really good practice. So I already wrote that light, slightly lost light, and rose leaves have shiny surface, and to create shine effect, here we can see here and here and here we have a shiny spots of light. That's how we get the illusion of the shine surface. This painting looks like they are more velvety because of this really soft feeling of leaves, shiny and velvety. But it's all about practice, no worries. I like that veins are very thin, stem is very thin. What can you add more is alizarin crimson and maybe perlin green, or some darker green, like with the very, very tip of the brush, add crispness to the stem, to the main stem, and to little these stems with leaves. It will give more crispness and realism to this composition. Also, you can add shadow here and slightly here, because they are not quite fat, not flat, not flat. These leaves are not flat. Here is shadow, Here's shadow here, then behind main vein, a little bit here. Yes, you have it. Like here's shadow because it's slightly curved, a little bit more here. And look here on this side of the leaf. Here you added, good. When you will add shadow, it will also make the difference.
I had a question. You asked me on the email what kind of paper I use. I don't remember if I answered you. I think this is the Sanders. Where? Oh, wait. You're looking at my Sanders.
Anders Waterford.
Yeah, it's. I think it's this one, and this is block.
Block 300.
Yes, yes, 300. But it's not glued on the four sides. It's only glued on the So I think I used it. I was gonna do a flower. I didn't like it, so I used the back side.
Yeah.
To instead of trashing the paper and use it as scrap.
Yeah.
I said
yeah.
I'm gonna use it for something else. I have a question. Does the side of the paper affect the painting?
It can. It depends on the paper. Depends on the paper quality. There are papers that an artist who like to paint on the wrong side of the paper. There are artists who like to paint on the right side of the paper. It has slight differences. And if you look at the thicker paper, you will see that the right side is more smoother and the left side has little tiny squares. That's the thing where it was pressed. Yeah, it has. So now you can tell the right and the wrong side, but you need
Okay.
to try until you see. Maybe you like other side. Like when there was
So that's why it looks overworked.
maybe, yeah.
Okay.
There's also a difference in sizing on the front side to the back side.
Size.
Especially with the high quality like Saunders and Waterford. They size it differently on the front side to the back side. So that can make a difference in whether it pills or how much it soaks.
Observes, yeah. There are differences. There are. So it's all
Okay.
about trying. It's all about trying. When you get new paper, do a little painting, part of the painting.
Yeah,
So
that's the best thing to do on the front
yeah,
and
yeah.
back.
Don't straight go away. I will do the best work on that new paper, and then you, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. So here, I just wanted to show how interesting one lady did this challenge. So beautifully done, and I like how it's the whole opening. So this painting was done vertical in my version, but she did it horizontal and used this both sides of sketchbook, which is amazing. And I wanted to show, oh, here these two look also so good together. Only thing here, this part of the archway would be much darker because this was the very front view of the composition and it was much darker to create contrast with that back. Now this tree looks darker and stands out, and this archway almost feels like it's disappearing. It's important to have these different contrasts and darkness. And here, this lavender field also used the sketchbook both sides. Half is done the sky and tree on the upper part, and lavender is done on the lower part. Also really nice. And here also the same, the front part of lavender field could have more color, more intensity. Shadows can be darker, and then the backside can stay as it is. The same with this ground between lavender field. It's can have like little spots. What I did, more splashes, no splashes in the back, more splashes in front. Yeah, that's the thing with and here I have another from challenge. Um, these lines of from a crop I did with very pale yellow, because now it feels like that these little hairs from crop are behind the sun, just because there's no line in front of the sun. It feels like it's behind, and the sun is like some kind of spot in the front of the composition. So little details, but make some sense and difference. But good. I'm so happy that you also joined this challenge, and it wasn't easy for me, and it was challenging. Challenge was a real challenge. Then with this one here, what gets my attention is this spot. It's so dark, it's so intense, it should be far away, but because this not isn't intense, isn't dark, here nothing is as dark as this spot. This spot catch all the attention because it's so intense and dark. But in reality, this part is really dark, and that is the thing that comes forward. But now it feels like something is a little bit off. So with landscape painting, is important to understand the sequence of perspective. What is darker, what is more intense, what is closer. Here with the trees, when you are doing trees in landscape, no matter you're sketching, looser, realistic, don't try to make them all equally similar. Now here we see that they are so lookalikes. But when we look at to the forest, even if the forest consists of same trees, like only pine trees, they are different. One tree is fatter, one tree is longer, the other one is shorter, one is thinner. That's how in life also nature is so rich with forms, colors, and everything. So you have them like almost every tree is look-alike in height, in thickness, in how branches are. So try to make, when I was going with brush, I was doing very chaotic movements that each tree looks different with, and I see that you really pay attention to every tree. So try to let go that perfectionist from botanical painting when you are really working each detail. That is the botanical approach. And of course, we are mainly here for realistic botanical painting. But this challenge, like what it gave for me, I slightly went out of my botanical bubble, and I saw slightly differently also botanical art. It's really was beneficial for me for botanical painting. I want to paint after this challenge richer compositions with like multiple flowers, maybe. Yeah, it's good time to time to do something differently. And when you come back to what you love the most, you look at the things differently from new perspective. This one, archway, also this line is too dark and contrasty, and it jumps out to the front, but this stays light. So careful with all those different it's important, the sequence. When we look, for example, you look to the view out of the window, you see that what is closer is more intense, more detailed, and then it slightly fades away. Also here with this road, the tiles, not the tiles, the stones, cobbles, how it was, they are bigger, closer to us, and then they slowly, when as the road goes further, those stones become smaller. That's how perspective works. But you have this almost the size what is here is also here, and that gives wrong perspective. So what is bigger here, when it goes further, it becomes smaller and not so detailed. Then we have back to our botanicals. And orchid cactus from we started it in January or in February and finished in June. Consists of 5 parts, and it took some time to finish, but I love the process. I love to see your results. So what can be done here? What is getting my attention? It really is worked through really good, really paid attention to details. Maybe, just maybe, this inner part can go a little bit darker. This part where the stems are can go a little bit darker. But when you add, don't like add one layer, one brush stroke, and that's it. Because if you will start to go back, forth, and then you will smooth the this lead proof. What was the name of that color? Or
White.
yeah, then you will blend it. Just one brush stroke, leave it to dry. When it's dry, you can add another one. But if you will go back and forth, you will just make it smooth and lose those stems. Look how darker they are here. Of course, you don't need to go this dark, but like you can go a little bit darker because they kind of blend with this edge. This edge is white and these stems are white, but if we compare this one, then these are white, but then this is really dark. I think I have also quite dark. Yeah, the contrast here needs to be bigger, That is the thing. But maybe shadow here, if I look at this work. Now, I don't have a very white spots like you have it here, so you can just do a wash of watercolors here to make it more calmer, especially this spot. It's too bright. But it's wonderfully done, wonderfully. Like, I'm being picky here, but I know that I just can push you a little bit further. But it's wonderfully done. I will repeat again. Beautifully done. Then we will have another one. Here I have graphite of pomegranate. I don't have a reference, so I don't have with what to compare with, but it's beautiful. It's wonderfully done study. This is a beautiful study, graphite study, and can't really tell what is going on in reference. What is here lighter, darker, and also this line. I think maybe here is some maybe shadow thing issue, but no, I can't really tell. I really like the upper part. It looks so realistic. That leaf is laying on the fruit, and it looks so good. Really good. Wonderfully done study. Then I have, you can't really tell which is the painting and which is the photo, right? Beautiful. So this is also done on her own. Wonderfully done. Amaryllis, so detailed, so what can we say? Okay, so it's a matter of likes and personal style. I would add a little bit more contrast here and there. For example, let's see it separately. Like here, the shadow area is has everything equally. Like here, the same intensity like here, except for these lighter lines. But if you look at the reference photo, the area where the sleeve is touching flower head is the darkest. This is called the cast shadow area, also here. And you don't have it, but you can definitely add. Like here you have a beautiful cast shadow and it instantly looks how it is separated, this bud from this flower head. And the same can be done with this part. Also here, look this part, the beautiful cast shadow. If you will add here this cast shadow, this darker area, it will instantly look even more three-dimensional, more realistic. You will separate this leaf. It's not leaf, it's like sepal. It's part of the bud. It will separate from this. Like you have here a beautiful cast shadow. The same could go here, even darker. Then it's hard to tell the shadow here, but it is. Look, if you look carefully, and you don't have it entirely. So shadow here and a little bit more here. Then everything else looks really good. Really good. Like, wow. Beautiful. Beautifully done. And this is like, I'm just finding things, what you can add more, but this is, wow, really good work. Okay, then a study of plumeria flower. Also a beautiful study. In sketchbook. Then what can I add? This was the thing I think, like everyone when sent in this plumeria, almost everyone had this issue. These white edges are going inside the flower, inside this middle part, and they are going away from light source and are becoming slightly darker. Let's zoom in closer. Look, this transitions from the lighter part to the inner part. It goes inside. And you are also, and what is happening here, they look just like they are on top. They are not going in. So you can add, everything else is done really good. What you can do is add a little bit more shadow here gradually. It's becoming darker because the petals go in, away from light and into the shadow. Let's move forward. This one. Okay. This is leaf live painting from June. And we did only the watercolor main leaf. Then I suggested another leaf can be done with watercolors, and then the rest ones can be done with graphite. Here's the watercolor and graphite. Wonderful. This part of the vein can be a little bit calmer. Some very transparent wash of green will make it slightly, meaning calmer, so it's not so bright. If the leaf is curving, and also main vein is also curving together with leaf and goes into the shadow. Everything else looks good. Contrast, maybe this part of the shadow is too dark, then I would add also the same intensity here. They look kind of separated because of this really dark contrast on one side and not so dark on this side. It's not so contrasty here. This part in tonal values look very similar. And of course, this part is darker than this one, but not as intense. A little bit here, then the same intensity could be, but good. And graphite is also done good. This is darker, yes. A little bit shadow here. And then the tip is good. Great, great. Just be careful when you add that contrast so it stays similar also with the rest of the painting. Then we have a really beautiful poppy composition. So there's a lot of things to look at and consider. I can say that you could add more work, and I already mentioned in an email this part. He fell.
Aww.
So look how this part is darker compared to, for example, this part of these stamens.
I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah. You have them. What you did with color?
No,
Masking?
masking tape. Yeah, masking fluid.
So when you removed masking fluid, you can even in the light, they are not so bright.
Okay.
Definitely add more color here, but carefully not to overpaint. Look, the anterns of these stamens are light, but the main stamens, like the stem of the stamens,
Yes,
is
it's
dark. So
Mhm.
be careful. Don't overpaint completely. Leave anterns lighter and then add color to the stamens. Here as
Okay.
well. Look how dark they're here.
Mhm.
Then with this centerpiece, more. You can go slightly darker here. Don't these ribs, like these parts, don't touch them. They are light as they are, but between them.
Mhm.
Okay. Then this little thing here can go darker. Look how contrasty it is compared to this part.
Yes.
To this and this. So you can don't touch this part, add darkness here. Then you can go here darker. This is the color that you painted here, very transparently added here, because this is also a reflection of that deeper inside there's this color, and it's slightly reflecting.
And it's like
here.
it's that petal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Then with these poppy overbloomed poppy heads, I would add more to this one to separate this from the stem. Now they are blending quite together. Also shadow here, and it's darker here. This part is darker. You can add more to make it to make this difference. Then yeah, also this one can go slightly darker. Also here.
Before I was afraid of, no, I went dark too fast.
Mm. No, it's good. It's really good. You don't touch light area here. Just in places where I told you, this can go darker, this can go darker with stem, and make a beautiful cast shadow here. It, like here, look, this,
Yes. Okay.
the here, and here. It will be amazing. Be amazing. This can go also slightly darker. Look, they are different. It's behind this, and they are also blending together. Add shadow here.
Okay.
So a little bit more work, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Then this rose. Okay, let's put them together and leave. And leave. So you added shadow on the leaf. Also, stem goes way darker. Stem can go way darker.
As soon as I added a little bit of dark on that middle leaf, it popped.
Yeah. That's the thing with contrast. When you add contrast and leave light, it gives this three-dimensional look instantly. That's the really nice end touch. That contrast should be placed towards the end result when you have every tonal value plus minus in places, and when you add that contrast, boom. Yeah. Rose, wonderful, wonderful. You have light, you didn't lost it. Of course, in some places you can also go a little bit with greater contrast, but I wouldn't touch the rose anymore. I wouldn't touch because it's tricky. You can quickly go
Too dark.
too dark or
Yeah.
too dirty. With yellows, it's hard.
I was doing the shadows not with gray, but with purple because it's a contrast.
Yeah.
Of yellow.
Yellow.
And
Yeah.
yes, and I was afraid of messing it up.
Yeah.
And those 3 leaves took me 2 days.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You can even add more to it. Definitely.
And leaves were my enemy. Not so much now.
And more you will practice, the more you will find it easier. Leaves are hard. Don't underestimate. Leaves are hard. It looks like, oh, they are just green and nothing is happening there. They are hard. Now we have here beautifully done leaves. So this very sharp cast shadow is a tricky one, and I don't like bright sunlight, and when the shadows are like cut with knife, it's not easy to make it look realistic. Sometimes it can look just like a spot. You still need to see. For example, here, this is just a dark spot, but in reality, it is darker where it is closer to the subject that is causing this cast shadow. And even with this very sharp ending, it is lighter compared to the beginning. Here it looks like a spot. It doesn't look like shadow. And with these very bright sunlight caused shadow areas, is hard to get this the real thing, how it should look. So what I would suggest here is to add a little bit darkness on the inner part of the shadow. Here, if you look closely, then this part is darker and it's lighter, but the end is very sharp. I would, and it's here in reference, the shadow is bigger. So I would add a little bit more here and a little bit darkness on the edge. But really careful not to make it too big, just a little bit. So these sharp shadows, I will repeat, they are very tricky to get them right. So if you place these shadows here, so you need to place the shadow on this leaf as well. It's a part of composition, and it will give a nice three-dimensional look when you have somewhere else the very dark shadow. Like this leaf has much darker areas. Graphite is done wonderfully. I know that you were struggling with paper here, but still the result is very, very good. Main vein can go thinner at the end. Also, this one is almost disappearing. Look here, it's almost disappearing. So you can go thinner. The same here. The same here. The main veins, they are not. They almost like disappear. They don't have thickness at the very tip. So you can add, you can make it thinner, but it looks good. It looks good. Really good. Just few things to add. Then we have parrot tulip. I think I need to, no, not this one. Sorry, not this one, this one. Oh, no, it's correct. No, it's correct. So, what gets my attention here is that all petals are almost equal in terms of tonal values. Here with this reference, for example, this curved part and this curved part is almost the darkest one. Then here is very dark. Then this backside is very dark here. So when you are working on the whole composition, first you are building each section separately, but then you need to look on the overall look of the composition. What is darker? What is lighter? What has more details, more contrast? And try not to overpaint the light areas. Like this petal is very light and smooth because it's in this composition, it's the further part. This petal is the most further from us, and it's looks smoother. Also, this part is very light. This part is very light. And this here curved area is very light compared to this inner part. You have almost everything done same, only leaving white edges, which is good, and forgetting about the contrast and differences of each petal. Then about the shadow, it's not the best idea to add gray to shadow, especially if it's pink, red, violet flower. It's the shadow is just more of this color, more layers. Here on the whiter part, it looks the same as this, but it's very transparently and carefully added. You added a very intense brush strokes, and it looks like this petal is going on top of this one, and that these are not shadow, but spots on the petal. So be careful with intense brush strokes. Better to go slower and more transparently. That will help the whole painting. But what I can say, which is wonderful here, that it looks that you are developing your own style, and I like how colors of red and pink and yellow, this flower looks very rich in terms of color and spots. I'm here just giving you suggestions to be more careful with tonal values and with contrast, because even in one flower head, petals can be different in terms of where the light is, where the shadow is. So be more observative of that, be more careful of that. Then we have graphite study of Old Dutch tulip and tulips. Let's look at the tulips. Both tulips are done with graphite, which is good, amazing. And flower heads look very good. What I could suggest is shadow to this leaf. Look, it is much darker compared to this one. Stem, you forgot to add shadow to the stem here. Look, we can clearly see the shadow line here, and then it's darker compared to the upper part. You maybe forgot to add it because it's darker, and then this is lighter. Leaf can go darker, as I said. Then this part of the flower petal, because it's in the shadow, it goes underneath the flower head and it's darker. Maybe too dark, this inner part, slightly too dark. It's not so dark here, but it's beautifully done. Beautifully. I like the idea, and many did the graphite study on both tulips, which is amazing. And then we have this Dutch tulip, which is here. You could slightly, I would slightly erase here, making this part lighter. Look how light it is, and a little bit here and here. Like the dark parts are intense, correct in terms of tonal values, very good. But where the lighter petals are, you went a little bit too dark. Bring back light by erasing. Also, about the surrounding area when doing graphite, what helps me, I know that graphite is super smudgy thing, it goes everywhere. I take paper towel, clean paper towel, place on top of the area where I need to put my hand, and then I do the graphite toning, because if you place your hand on the graphite and then you go somewhere else and again place your hand, then this part of the hand becomes smudgy with graphite, and then we are leaving fingerprints all over the paper. So be more careful with that. It goes so smudgy so fast. Then we have another work, amazing work of this Old Dutch tulip. This is amazing, done with watercolors and with graphite. Composition is beautiful, colors are wonderful. What I can say here, if I even should, because it's wonderfully done. So, a little bit light here. You can slightly erase here. Like if we compare these two, then this is lighter. Then go do your thing. Then this part can go a little bit darker. They are very similar here, but this looks a little bit darker. Also, this part here can go darker here. This one here, all is good. This one here, all is good. Yeah, this can go, but careful, like this part is light here, but then this part can go darker. And with watercolors, these lines, they are going to the center where the stem is. if we look carefully, then all these petal spot lines are going to the center where the tulip is, where the flower head is growing from the stem. And here, these lines are slightly off. Slightly off. You can't really tell from the whole composition, but if I'm just being too picky here, it could go a little bit more to the stem. But still, it's very beautifully done. Don't get me wrong. And just next time, pay more attention to these lines. That's always the tricky part. All these spots and lines, they are going to the center. That, like, keep that in mind, that everything goes to the center. Another thing that is not happening here, but is happening with watercolors, is this line of the curve, inner part of the curve. It's too bright, and it's kind of separates this curve from the petal. If I zoom out, this all curve looks like it is separated from flower head, because this inner part, inner edge, is too bright. You just a very pale wash of this blue to calm this inner part down, slightly calm it down. Okay, that's it. That's it. Beautiful. Amazing. Then another leaf. Beautifully done. Wait a second. Arthur, please go. Arthur, please go. No, I need to find somewhere reference. I lost it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yes. Share screen. Share. Here is the reference. Okay. It looks very good. Very good. Maybe a shadow here, but it looks very good. Very good. And the intensity is right on the upper part as well. Maybe more attention to the stem. It looks like a little bit not even painted. So you can add more color to the stem, but it's really good work. And it's thin, the main vein is thin, and it's disappearing also with graphite. Wonderful. Yeah, wonderfully done. Wonderful practice. Wonderful. Just then orchid cactus. Here's the process. As I understand, it's not finished. It's in the process. And the students, I think she started one, as I understood from her, and then she lost the whole painting, and then she started all over again. Great dedication. Amazing. This is going really well. Contrast and details. So more details here. And when you will get to this one, add definitely more layers to the inner part. It goes way darker, way more layers. Also here, be careful with going too dark. Then, like, you added here darkness, and then you need to keep up everything in very close to this intensity, like here, here, here. So when you add something so dark, be careful, because if you will not get to that darkness with other darker parts, then this will always stand out. The one like that with the landscape where this archway was, the very dark spot, it stands out, the only one. So now this part really stands out. What you need to do, you need to get other shadow parts in the same intensity, then it will be calmer. Now it really stands out, jumps from the whole composition, and gets take away attention from the flower other parts of this composition. So go with shadows everywhere close to this intensity. And it's so in the beginning, don't try to go so dark. Then you will spend the rest of your time in painting trying to level up to that one spot. Then what we have here. Oh, I wanted you to show the study pages from student. Beautifully, these different circles and squares and notes. Wonderful study page. Just wanted to share with you. I'm not judging study pages and sketchbook pages. It's wonderful. I'm so happy to see how you are getting creative with study pages, and it's I think the most interesting to look at artist sketchbooks, how the creative process is being made, how the studies are being made. It's always interesting. Then I have here a succulent in a pot. Careful with taking photos. Here you took a photo, phone is in front of your light source and it's casting shadow on the whole painting, and it looks like there's this kind of shadow. So be careful when you are taking photos. But this work looks really good. Contrast drawing these leaves of succulent. This part, but it's hard to tell because of the light that is shining on your work. It's hard to tell, but if it looks like this part needs to go darker. The lower part needs to go darker. There's no light edge here, because be careful with the reflected light area. It's not as light as the light area. So this line really stands out, but it shouldn't. So as it looks here, you need shadow. Definitely this. In this whole composition, this black edge, this black part of the pot is the darkest one, and you need to go even darker. Don't overwork with the light area. Also, this needs to go a little bit calmer. This reflected light area isn't as light as the light area. Here, darker. And yeah, succulent part is done wonderfully. Maybe some like this edge here, there's no such thing here. So be more, make these middle parts a little bit calmer. Also here, it's not so intense. Here, then this edge is not so intense. Try to soften down slightly. Okay. Looking at succulent, really want to paint one. Here I wanted you to show, and I wrote to student this that this painting is done in mixing notebook, in my mixing notebook. So these mixing notebooks are for quick studies, for mixing watercolors, for little quick paintings, because the paper quality, but how amazing that the whole painting is done in this mixing notebook. And I was like, wow, this paper can do this as well. But this leave your beautiful paintings to original ones. So it will be easier to paint when you have thicker paper. It's easier to layer. It's easier to work. You will not get frustrated. But wonderfully done. Wonderfully done. Thing here, this crack, it goes all the way. And this one here shouldn't be here, but it looks like the crack is only in the upper part of the mushroom, but everything else is as whole. But this crack goes all the way. You can, if you have a Redicator brush, and I think you have, you can slightly erase this thing and it will look more natural. Like this little line, erase it. Okay. Everything else looks good. This part can go darker under this whole upper part of the mushroom. This can go darker. Look how dark this inner part of the stem of the mushroom stem is. And also leaf painting was done in mixing notebook. But yeah, this is for quick studies, for colors, this is not for painting, but you did a good work, good study here. This part can go darker. If we compare these two leaves, that this one is definitely darker. Here you can go way darker here. Also this, yeah, you have it darker, which is amazing. You have light, everything looks good. You also did stem. Okay. It looks like here is the curve and this is the inner part of leaf, but it's curved to the other side, but it's not like a big thing. It looks like you just did that. The curve is slightly different than it is in the reference, but you did it right. So it looks like it curves inside, but it's outside. But you did it, the shadow are correct. But this can go darker. This can go darker. Look at the reference. Compare side by side. And here at the beginning, it's even way darker. And that's it. That's it. Any questions, ladies? You can turn on back your mics.
Kristine?
Yeah.
What brush are you using to get those fine lines that you have in your paintings? What size brush are you using?
Number 4.
Number 4?
Wow. Fine tip brush that I have. Number 4, the only one.
Amazing.
But when I paint, so if looking, it's only touching, I'm not laying it flat.
Right.
Only the tip. Only working with the last hair on this brush. And then I get those fine lines.
Takes a lot of practice, yes.
Yeah, it's a matter of practice.
Yeah.
You can because if I will take, for example, I have here other, no, it's not that. Wait a second, like if I will take a brush that is so small, I will also be doing only the tip. And then the result, even with this one, will be the same because at the tip, they are identical. If we look at the tip,
right,
they're almost the same. So the result, if I will be painting with both brushes with the very tip, will be the same. Only the difference with these two brushes are that this one can, in its body, can hold more watercolor rather than this one. With this finer brush, you need to go back and forth to your palette to load some part of it with watercolors. This can load much more, and then I can go more longer without getting back to mixing palette.
Okay.
Okay, more questions? Nope. Yeah, Erica? All is clear?
Yeah.
Great, that is wonderful. I hope you're working.
I find my shortcomings, observing and listening.
Good, 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 good. This is
So I can look at mine and say, ah,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, this is so
it's great
inspiring.
feedback. It's
When
awesome.
when I'm painting, you know that I paint every day, because I paint while I'm working. It sounds uh, uh, but before I used to go dark really fast,
yeah,
and it was hard for me to gain light.
to keep
And
light. Yeah.
yes, and I learned to control water and with you.
It
So
comes with time. It comes with time and practice.
now when I'm mixing the colors, I'm like, no, that's too much water. I have to
Yeah.
let it evaporate
Yeah.
and wait. So it's been a journey, but I've learned. And like you say, you cannot paint. I'm talking about leaves. Leaves for me, they still are difficult. But before I used to see leaves, and I went like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll do something else.
Yeah, leaves take time, take time.
Until I decided, little by little, and that rose, those 3 petals, when I finished them, I was like, okay,
Okay.
something happened there.
Good.
But it was, you had said, do a little and let it sit, let it dry, and that's how the leaf became the leaf.
With botanicals, don't rush. No matter flower, leaf, fruits, veggies, don't rush. I know that my tutorial is 1 hour, 1.5. Still, take breaks. Don't try to make tutorial in one sitting. Make with breaks, slowly, slowly.
That's why I'm always so far behind.
That's better. That's better than rushing.
I am always so far behind.
No worries. No worries about that. You are not late for anything. Okay, ladies. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on, even on your big celebration day. I really appreciate that I'm not here alone and with you beautiful ones. Thank you. And see you very soon. In next week, we will have live leaf painting session. And in the end of months, we will have July feedback session.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Have a good day. Have a good night. Bye.